Joseph was one of the 12 tribes of Israel, a son of Jacob and his wife Rachel. Known as the Righteous One, he was favored by his father, who gave him a special colored coat and was sold by his brothers into slavery in Egypt. There, he ultimately became ruler of the land, second only to Pharaoh. If you find value in these videos, please subscribe and click the bell to stay updated. The story begins with Jacob, the heir of Isaac, and his 12 children. Joseph was born in the Mesopotamian town of Haran to his parents, Jacob and Rachel. At the age of 6, he left Haran with his family and journeyed to the land of Canaan, eventually settling in Hebron. Jacob displayed extra affection toward Joseph, who was born to him in his old age, and presented him with a specially crafted garment. This prompted jealousy among his brothers, especially the sons of Jacob's other wife, Leah. The jealousy intensified when Joseph shared 2 dreams with them. In the first dream, the brothers were gathering wheat in the field, and their bundles bowed to Joseph's bundle. In the second, Joseph saw the sun, the moon, and 11 stars, symbolizing his parents and brothers, bowing to him. To the brothers, these dreams symbolized Joseph's arrogance and foreshadowed a future where they would be subservient to him. The animosity reached its peak when Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers as they worked in a distant field. Seeing Joseph approach, their jealousy turned into a dangerous plan. Some suggested killing him to rid themselves of their dreamer brother, but Reuben, the eldest, convinced them to spare his life and instead throw him into a well, a dark pit where he faced a lonely fate. Reuben's plan was to rescue Joseph later, but before he could do so, an opportunity for profit arose. A caravan of traders passed by, and the brothers decided to sell Joseph as a slave. For 20 pieces of silver, Joseph was taken away, his dreams seemingly shattered. To cover up their crime, they dipped his beautiful robe in goat's blood and presented it to Jacob, leading their father to believe his beloved son had been killed by a wild animal. Jacob's heartbreak was immense. He was inconsolable, believing he had lost Joseph forever. Jacob was shattered, consumed by grief for the loss of his son. Meanwhile, Joseph, unaware of his father's suffering, was taken to Egypt, where he was sold to one of Pharaoh's officers. Though stripped of his freedom, Joseph's spirit remained unbroken. Even as a slave, he excelled, winning the trust of his master, who soon made him responsible for managing his entire estate. But the house where Joseph lived harbored its own threats. His master's wife, attracted to Joseph, attempted to seduce him. When Joseph resisted her advances, she turned on him and accused him of trying to harm her. Her false accusation led to Joseph being thrown into Pharaoh's prison, a grim turn in his already harsh journey. Thrown into prison, Joseph faced yet another unjust punishment. Yet even in the depths of despair, he did not lose hope. His faith remained strong, and his natural leadership abilities once again set him apart. The prison warden recognized Joseph's potential and put him in charge of the other prisoners. During this time, Joseph met Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker, both of whom had troubling dreams. Joseph, gifted by God with the ability to interpret dreams, revealed that the cupbearer would be restored to his position, while the baker would be executed. Events unfolded exactly as Joseph had predicted. Before the cupbearer was released, Joseph asked him to remember him and speak to Pharaoh on his behalf, but the cupbearer forgot, leaving Joseph to languish in prison for 2 more years. Then Pharaoh began to have perplexing dreams, visions of 7 healthy cows being devoured by 7 gaunt ones, and 7 full ears of grain being swallowed by 7 thin ones. These dreams troubled Pharaoh, and none of his advisors could interpret them. It was then that the cupbearer remembered Joseph and his extraordinary gift. Joseph was summoned before Pharaoh, and with God's guidance he explained the dreams. Egypt would experience 7 years of great abundance, followed by 7 years of severe famine. Joseph did not stop at interpreting the dreams. He also offered a solution. During the years of plenty, Egypt should store surplus grain to prepare for the years of scarcity. Pharaoh was so impressed by Joseph's wisdom and foresight that he appointed him as his second in command, giving him authority over all of Egypt, second only to Pharaoh himself. Joseph, who had been a slave and a prisoner, was now entrusted with the responsibility of saving a nation. He oversaw the collection and storage of grain during the prosperous years, ensuring that Egypt was well prepared when the famine struck. His actions not only saved Egypt, but also attracted people from neighboring lands who came to buy food, including Joseph's own family. When Joseph's brothers arrived in Egypt seeking grain, they did not recognize the powerful Egyptian official as their long-lost brother. Joseph, however, knew them immediately. Rather than revealing his identity, he decided to test them. He accused them of being spies and demanded that they bring their youngest brother, Benjamin, as proof of their honesty. The brothers, desperate for food, complied and returned with Benjamin. To further test their character, Joseph arranged for his silver cup to be hidden in Benjamin's sack, accusing him of theft. He declared that Benjamin would have to remain in Egypt as his slave, while the rest could return home. To Joseph's surprise, his brothers reacted with deep concern. Judah, in particular, stepped forward and offered to take Benjamin's place, explaining how losing Benjamin would destroy their father, Jacob, who had already lost his beloved Joseph. This display of love and sacrifice moved Joseph to tears. Seeing that his brothers had truly changed, Joseph could no longer keep up the facade. He revealed his identity to them, saying, "I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt." His brothers were terrified, expecting revenge, but Joseph reassured them. He spoke words of comfort and forgiveness, explaining that what they had meant for harm, God had used for good to save countless lives during the famine. Joseph's forgiveness is one of the most powerful moments in his story. It serves as a reminder that even the deepest wounds can be healed through love, empathy, and understanding. Rather than harboring resentment, Joseph recognized the greater plan at work in his life. He invited his entire family to move to Egypt, providing them with land and ensuring their well-being during the years of famine. Jacob, who had thought his beloved son dead, was overjoyed to be reunited with him. The story of Joseph is more than a tale of personal triumph. It is a narrative of faith in the face of adversity, the importance of forgiveness, and the belief that even the darkest moments in life can serve a greater purpose. Joseph's journey from the pit to power teaches us that our circumstances do not define us. His unwavering faith and resilience turned his suffering into a path of salvation, not just for himself, but for an entire nation and his own family.